Calling all Vikings fans, come on in. Welcome to Around the Felt. We're going to be breaking down the Minnesota Vikings in 2025, getting into how we think the season will go, our MVPs for the teams, X factors, the rookies that'll have the biggest impact, even getting into some fantasy football. But this is Around the Felt. My name's Reagan, and I'm here with my co-host Colin Tong. Colin, how we doing tonight?
Doing great, man. Excited to talk some Minnesota Vikings football. Definitely the biggest surprising team last year with
For
14 wins. I mean, I know we're not super high on them heading into 2024 with Sam Darnold, but shit, Kevin O'Connell showed what kind of coach he is and that it doesn't matter who's under center. This offense is going to hum. And wow, 14 wins. What a year. Unfortunately, fell apart at the end of the season, losing to the Lions, losing out in the number 1 seed, and then getting knocked out in the wild card round. Vegas, not particularly that high on Minnesota, considering they won 14 games last year with an 8.5 win total led by JJ McCarthy, the new QB1. They have a pretty difficult schedule, man. The 5th most difficult. Of course, all these NFC North teams have difficult schedules because they got to play each other, and this is a loaded division. The Vikings, 9-1 in one-score games last year. Of course, that happens when you win 14 games. Going to be tough to replicate with, I don't know, you call JJ McCarthy a rookie at this point? He hasn't played it down yet.
I would call him a rookie at this point.
I'm considering him a rookie. So definitely tough. Some additions here. Beefed up the offensive line in front of McCarthy with Will Fries and Ryan Kelly coming over from the Colts. They beefed up that defensive line. Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave. Also added Isaiah Rodgers. Then Jeff Okudah to the secondary. And then their first-round pick, Donovan Jackson, who was an absolute stud at Ohio State, slated to start at guard. So this offensive line looks very good in front of JJ McCarthy. Reagan, how high are you on the Vikings heading into 2025?
I got them 8 and 9. I'm not buying into the JJ McCarthy hype just yet. I think there's just going to be growing pains. I mean, it's just so different than the college level, and I don't think he's just going to step in right away and this team's going to be what they were last year. The schedule's harder. The division's getting better. Obviously they did improve the offensive line, which is great. That's going to help him out, and the defense is one of the better units. But I just think it ultimately comes down to him, and I may be way off on this, and Vikings fans will probably be pissed. But what do you mean we won 14 games last year? But I guess I'm just not really seeing it with JJ McCarthy and just being like, yeah, this team's not going to skip a beat. They're going to be an 11-12 win team, be right back in there. And I mean, the thing for the Vikings last year too, without this crazy enough, is the 2 games they lost 4 games, and twice to the Rams and twice to the Lions. So I mean, they were 14-0 against teams that weren't the Lions and Vikings. I mean, Lions and Rams. So that's crazy in its own right. But I got them 8 and 9. Addison missing the first 3 games hurts a lot. Now I know there's talks of Naylor missing some time, and it seems like they might be a candidate to go out and acquire another wide receiver. I heard Adam Thielen's name being floated around that they might try to get, and I think that would be huge. But at the time of this recording, August 24th, because, we're going to be posting this a couple days from now, they don't have that receiver. So I'm curious how that'll shake out. But where do you fall on them?
I got them at 10-7.
A lot higher than I am. Okay.
Finishing 3rd in the division at 10-7.
Is that enough to get them in the playoffs?
Yes, I do think the Minnesota Vikings are back in the playoffs in 2025. I do. I mean, for me, of course, it's going to be up to JJ McCarthy, and we'll get into why he's certainly the biggest X factor for this team. I'm sure that's going to be your pick as well. Yeah. We just had that debate: is who's a bigger X factor, Justin Fields or JJ McCarthy in all of football? And yeah, we gave a slight nod to Fields there, but you could make the argument for JJ McCarthy for a team that just won 14 games and what he can do. Going to the offensive line, I mean, Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw just awesome at tackle. We already mentioned bringing in Ryan Kelly, veteran at center. Will Fries, former Cranford Cougar, played against him in high school. Guy's a dog. Got a massive deal in free agency. And Donovan Jackson, man, I think he could be one of the best guards in football. I mean, to put this in perspective, he was one of the best guards in all the Power 4. When they were running behind him at Ohio State, they averaged 5 yards before contact, the Ohio State backs. Before they got touched, 5 yards. That's how good he was. Then Josh Simmons, stud left tackle, goes down with the ACL. Gets drafted by the Chiefs, who already looks like an animal. He looks really damn good. So, of course, the rich get richer there. But Jackson had to kick out to left tackle in the middle of the season and was awesome at tackle, which he doesn't need to play here for Minnesota. He's going to play guard. So I think this offensive line will be really damn good. Of course, Justin Jefferson, one of, if not the best wide receiver in football, played all 17 games, has had over 1,500 yards in 3 of the last 4 seasons, had 10 touchdowns. What more can you say about the guy? He's generational. Jordan Addison, 20 touchdowns in 2 seasons. Yes.
He's a machine with the touchdowns.
It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt, man, missing him because, you could argue Jefferson and Addison are top 1, 2, 3 duos in all of football. Like, Addison is very good in his own right. Hockenson's back after recovering from the ACL last year, getting back like midway through the season. So I'm expecting a bounce back out of Hockenson. I think a young quarterback like McCarthy, who loved throwing the ball to Colston Loveland at Michigan, I think Hockenson could be a really important piece of this offense, and more so than what people are giving him credit for at this time. And defensively, man. And on the defensive side of the ball, damn, dude, they're very, very underrated. They led the league in takeaways and interceptions, 24. 6th in pressure rate, 4th in sacks. Jonathan Greenard was everything they hoped he would be when they signed him away from Houston. 12 sacks, nearly a 16% pressure rate. Go Gators, got to throw that in there. Of course, you had Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave on the interior. Andrew Van Ginkel, 11.5 sacks, over 12% pressure rate. And they traded up to get Dallas Turner in the first round last year. As a rookie, didn't even have that big of an impact because you had Greenard and Van Ginkel with double-digit sacks in front of him. So your third guy is a guy who you picked, I believe it was 17th overall, Dallas Turner out of Alabama, who was a stud. That's pretty damn good. I love what they got going on in the front there. The secondary is also good. Byron Murphy, you got Isaiah Rodgers, Jeff Okudah in the picture. Harrison Smith is back for another year. So, I don't love the secondary as much as the front, but it's still damn good in its own right. So when you have such a good, talented roster paired with O'Connell, the head coach, who I just think so highly of in his creativity, even with a rookie quarterback that we're calling JJ McCarthy, the roster's too good and they're too well coached for me to have them with a losing record like you do. So that's why I got 10-7 for the Vikings.
Yeah, and like I said, I might be a little low on them. It ultimately came down to me not being like just putting all this stock in JJ McCarthy. Like, I just need to see it first. I'm not calling him a bust or anything. Like, I do think he'll be good. It's just hard for me to believe that this guy's just going to come in right away and be a beast. Like, I think there's going to be the rookie growing pains that you see with every rookie quarterback.
Of course, but the one thing he does have is he's a winner. Like at Michigan,
True.
The guy just won football games. Yeah, he wasn't asked to light up the stat sheet and chuck the ball around the yard. It's also not how that Michigan team was built. And he's never had weapons, of course, the caliber of Jettas and Addison, where he can take that passing to the next level. And look, he's going to run a lot of play action. I think the run game is going to be important here behind this offensive line with Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, who I think is going to be more of a 50-50 split. Aaron Jones had a career high in carries last year. At his age, that's not ideal. So that's why they go and get a Jordan Mason, who played really well with stepping in for Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, no, I think Jordan Mason, I think he's 26, so he's a little bit older, but he doesn't have a lot of wear and tear on his tires. Like, I was looking, he only has 250 career carries, but the dude's averaging over 5.3 yards per carry. So he's been super efficient. Last year he almost got 1,000 yards only playing in 12 games and only starting 6. So, I think he was like 760 something. So, he was just a beast when he got the workload, and, they put a 2nd-round tender on him, ultimately ended up trading him over to the Vikings. But I think that he could eventually take over the backfield, but I definitely think both guys will be valuable for fantasy. I think there'll be a lot of carries and touches to be had, but Jordan Mason's definitely a guy to look out for, especially in the future. Like, Dynasty, definitely stash him away.
I agree 100%. I wouldn't be shocked if Jordan Mason's getting more of the carries down the stretch, particularly in the goal line and short yardage situations. You're going to have a monster impact for this team.
Yeah.
All right, Reagan. With all of that being said, who do you have as the MVP for the Minnesota Vikings?
Yeah, it's Justin Jefferson.
It's Justin Jefferson, yeah, of course.
Dude is going to light the world on fire. It doesn't matter who his quarterback is. We've seen him do it with freaking slanging that thing, Nick Mullins. We've seen him do it with Darnold, Cousins, even oh shit, who was the kid from BYU they had? He was doing it with him as well.
He did with Josh Dobbs as well. I know that's not who
Josh
you're
Dobbs,
talking
Jaron something.
about. Yeah, this was 2020.
2023.
2023. Yeah.
Oh, what's
Was
his
it
name? But
Jaron
anyway,
Hall? Was Jaron
Jaron
Hall?
Hall, I believe. Yeah. So he does it with everybody. It doesn't matter. I mean, the offense is built around him. He's the focal point. Without him, we're going to see, if he is to miss any time, you're going to see this offense just look like a shell of itself. I mean, he is the engine that runs this offense.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, man. Like when they didn't have him out there, it was tough. I mean, Addison definitely is a great player in his own right, but let's be honest, Justin Jefferson, it's him, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, pick your poison in what order, because the past 3 years, they've each had their own, like, leading the league, being the top guy. So, yeah, Jefferson, if he's fully healthy, even with McCarthy, he's going over 1,500 yards. I mean, you could bet that and feel pretty safe.
Yeah.
And I know he's sliding a little bit in fantasy drafts, going
to
like 7, 8, and I'm like,
incredible
shit, if
value.
I'm getting Justin Jefferson after pick 5, I'm sprinting that card in. I'm so happy with that.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's just the McCarthy effect, is just the uncertainty. I don't know. I forget where he went last year with, when it was McCarthy and then Darnold, but I guess a lot of people just prefer to have, the proven options in Dak Prescott and Joe Burrow, and I guess some of these running backs in situations like, I see Bijan and Gibbs going before him, but it's like Jefferson's been consistent for so long. Like I don't really understand it, but in my draft, in a lot of underdog drafts, I've been getting him at like 7. I'm like, what the hell? Like, why is he still on the board? This is an incredible value.
It's a home run. The X factor, of course, it's JJ McCarthy, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we mentioned it earlier. It's the debate. He could be considered the biggest X factor in all of football because this team is so talented that on paper, they should be in the playoffs, have a chance to represent the NFC, but that's not happening if JJ McCarthy comes out of the gate super slow and doesn't look like, the guy that they took 10th overall, right? Like, can you elevate this passing offense? Is going to protect the football, all important things. Of course, the X factor is JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. I mean, this team goes as far as his development. If he obviously can't develop, then it could be a rough year for Vikings fans. But if he just has that, like, year one, or technically year 2, but I'm going to call it year 1 for him. If he's like Jaden Daniels or even like Bo Nix, like, he doesn't even need to beat Jaden Daniels. If he's just like Bo Nix level of last year, where shows a lot of flashes where it's like, all right, this is obviously like, he's the guy, like this was the correct pick, and can get them in there with on the back of their, defense and, weapons around them. I mean, this could be, I feel low on it because I just don't know, but I mean, this could definitely be a 14-win team again if he's just above average.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's your rookie of the year? And you know what? We're going to include JJ McCarthy in this conversation because it's not like the Vikings had a large draft class, outside of Donovan Jackson and like Ty Felton, a receiver they took out of Maryland 3rd round. They didn't have a lot of picks,
now
man.
It seems like he'll have a big role, Ty Felton. At first it was like, he'd be fighting for the 3, but now it seems like he's going to be the 2 for at least the first 3 weeks of the season. So he'll definitely get his opportunity to play some big-time snaps early on, assuming they don't trade for anybody.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. Is JJ McCarthy the rookie of the year, or do you want to shout out?
I was going to go with Donovan Jackson. I think he's going to be a beast. I definitely think he's a guy that could be getting some Pro Bowl nods down the stretch. I mean, and the fact that he can bounce outside if needed, like if Fries or Darrisaw is to miss time, it's such a value to have a guy that you could slide right out there if you don't feel confident in any of your backup tackles.
Yeah, well, Fries is at guard. They have O'Neal at tackle.
I'm sorry. Yeah. But, that's – yeah. Wasn't Fries a tackle? Fries can play tackle as well, right?
No, he was a guard for Indianapolis. I think he played tackle at Penn State, but –
Oh, okay. All right, yeah, but still, to have that flexibility where if that becomes an issue, you can bounce him outside is awesome.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, yeah, I highlighted Donovan Jackson earlier, just the flexibility to kick outside, stepping in for Josh Simmons, like 5 yards before contact, running behind him at Ohio State. I know those backs were studs, but like that also is a part of the reason why they were so damn good at Ohio State is because you had a guy like Donovan Jackson to run behind. But I'm going to go JJ McCarthy as the rookie of the year if you put him into that bucket because they didn't really have a lot of draft picks here. And look, McCarthy is the quarterback. So if they have a winning record, it means he did something right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't have to keep harping on it, but yeah.
DPOY is tougher, man, because you got a lot of really good players on this side of the ball. But ultimately, who did you land on?
I know this was tough because there's nobody that like you can point to right away and be like, that's their number one guy. They're their top guy. But I'm going to go with Jonathan Greenard. I still think he's going to be, a beast this year, pushing double-digit sacks. Obviously he was the big signing over Houston. They like swapped him and Danielle Hunter. Obviously, like they didn't actually do the trade, but I just think he is the best, if not one of the best edge rushers on this team. I mean, he's the big signing, so I think he's going to be their best defensive player.
I also picked Jonathan Greenard, maybe a bit of my Gator bias, you can go with a Van Ginkel who is right there, only a half a sack behind, but Greenard's 15.9% pressure rate compared to Van Ginkel's 12.6 is ultimately what gave me the nod that I think, he's more consistently getting towards the quarterback, and those numbers can go up even more. There's a reason they gave him the big-ass contract, and I think if Dallas Turner is going to enter the picture, he's going to take more snaps away from Van Ginkel as opposed to Jonathan Greenard. So I agree with you. Go Gators. All right, fantasy football.
I think just one more thing. I think he could be pushing 15 sacks. I mean, he's had 12 and a half with Houston and then 12 last year, so I think he's got to take that next step to get up to the 15 level.
Yeah, but he's shown that consistency, like a dozen sacks. Like that's 2 years in a row. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, fantasy football, man. What do you like on this offense? Are you buying the Addison discount and redraft right now with the suspension? The run-heavy team? Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I've been staying away from Addison, man. I don't know. It's just he's so touchdown dependent. I've been all over Jefferson, obviously, like at his ADP. I really haven't taken a ton of Aaron Jones stock. I think Jordan Mason's an incredible value because I think it'll, like you said, I agree. I think it'll be a 50-50 timeshare. Staying away from Hockenson. What if I do take Hockenson? I may try to trade him after the 3 weeks because I think with Naylor now missing time, Addison being out there, there's going to be more targets for the first 3 weeks, so you may be able to sell high on him. But really, the only Vikings I'm excited for are Jefferson and Jordan Mason. And Aaron Jones is fine because you're not like paying that top tier market. But I really do think Mason could take over, or have and it's just Jones can never play a full season, so it just kind of sucks drafting a guy that is going to miss like 2 or 3 games at least. So I'm definitely not, super excited about that.
Yeah, I see. And those backs, Mason and Jones, they're going like very close to each other. Their ADPs are right neck and neck, and I think that's kind of pricing in the expected timeshare. So it's tough to pick your poison on which one. I do lean going Mason, the younger back with fresher legs, although Aaron Jones has been there. But I think they want to take some workload away from Jones to have him fresher down the stretch, and that's going to have Jordan Mason have a pretty good role early on. And then, if he outperforms them, as you mentioned, over 5 yards a carry in his career, which is awesome, he can carve out even a larger role that, hey, by the time you're in your fantasy playoffs, maybe Jordan Mason, you're starting at flex, and you're like, I feel really damn good about that behind that offensive line if he does take more of a role from Jones. And, Jones has historically had hamstring injuries a lot, as you touched on as well. So, I'd probably lean Mason over Aaron Jones because they're neck and neck in their ADPs. I did buy Addison at the discount in some best ball. I have a redraft league tonight, and I'm thinking about it. I'm really thinking about it hard to see if it's worth it. But he is touchdown dependent. 10 in both years in the league. And it's like, shit, like, can he do that with JJ McCarthy, a guy who was not lighting the scoreboard up and chucking the ball around the yard at Michigan? I don't know. If the touchdowns aren't there, he's still a damn good player. But and you're pricing in that suspension, so that's tough. Of course, if I'm getting Jefferson after 5, I'm sprinting this card in. JJ McCarthy knows getting a lot of love. He's getting picked above guys like Justin Herbert, and CJ Stroud.
Because of the rushing upside, too, that McCarthy brings.
That's true. That is true. But, it's tough for me to take a McCarthy over an established guy that is like a star, like a Justin Herbert or CJ Stroud. But Herbert even had the best rushing year of his career last year. So, I don't know. It's hard for me. It's definitely a gamble. It's a big gamble.
I don't think it's that big of a gamble because those guys are all going as your quarterback too. You know what I mean? Those guys aren't being drafted as like, they're like 18, 17. You know what I mean? They're not like
range. Yeah,
they're like if you're taking it like you're drafting 2 quarterbacks most likely if you're taking one of those guys. And I guess at that point you're probably taking them on the Kevin O'Connell bump where it's like we saw he just had Sam Darnold as the top 12 quarterback. So I guess that's what you'd be taking, and it's like, well, he had Darnold as top 12, and McCarthy's way better with his legs than Darnold is. Not that Darnold was bad, but, he just adds a whole nother element that Darnold doesn't really have consistently enough.
You're right. If you go 2 quarterbacks in that range, I don't mind McCarthy because he does have
I don't mind it.
in that offense. but I'm probably staying away, like, for the most part. But, that's just me, man. That's just me. And I'm also all over TJ Hockenson. I got him in 2 dynasty leagues.
Really?
And, I think just the way McCarthy wants to play, I think it's going to be run heavy. I think they're going to run a lot of play action, and I think that's going to have the tight end involved a lot. And I touched on it earlier, man. He loved Colston Loveland at Michigan. Hockenson, every year he's been fully healthy. He's finished like a top 6, 7, 8 tight end in fantasy. So I think you can expect that again, and it's not like he's going super high in drafts right now.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. It'll be interesting for the Vikings as a whole. They're definitely one of the teams where I found it so hard to predict it because it's like a lot of me wants to say they're going to return to being great, but I also see the flaws in the team, and there's a lot of question marks. So it's, I don't know. I just see so many outcomes for this team. They're definitely the hardest, or if not one of the hardest teams to predict.
Yeah, definitely very volatile range of outcomes for this team, and it's very dependent on JJ McCarthy. Vikings fans, let us know, are you excited about the JJ McCarthy experience? Do you believe he will become the QB of the future and the present? Because this team's ready to win right now for the Minnesota Vikings. We'd love to hear from you. Hit a comment, hit a like. We'll see you soon here on Around the Felt.